Today what we will study will not go deep into any economic laws, principle or something, but just then to be familiar about the subject, there are different terms. The meaning of these different terms we should know. Meaning of different terms we shall see today, and we shall try to get their definitions. So first you tell me, your this particular subject is agricultural economics. What do you mean by agricultural economics? Ki jana? You just tell me about that. What do you know about this? Agricultural economics means what? The first and foremost thing is that agricultural economics has got, it is composed of two words, agriculture and economics. What is agriculture first? That you tell. What is agriculture? You are coming here to study agriculture. You should know the basic definition of this also. What is agriculture?
Field management.
Field management. It's a very difficult answer, because if I ask her in a different way, in a field you want to establish one, suppose TV manufacturing industry, that is also field management. Is it agriculture then? Huh? Is it agriculture? No. It is a manufacturing sector. What about agriculture, I am told? Question, anybody? You have seen daily in front of your eyes activities relating to agriculture. Why not being able to explain it just with few words in a sentence? Huh? What is agriculture? See, cultivation of crops and raising of livestock. This is agriculture. Very simple it is. When you cultivate crops and rear some animals, be it poultry, be it piggery, be it dairy, that is agriculture. Our veterinary college is within agriculture. It is not in the Dibrugarh University. Is it not? Because veterinary is related to rearing of animals. That comes under agriculture. Fishery college is within the agricultural university, because cultivation of fish, production of fish, that is also within agriculture. So that is agriculture. What is agricultural economics then? What is agricultural economics then? See, agriculture is the industry of basic food production. Basic food means be it crops, be it livestock or poultry, whatever it is. Then it is defined as the production, processing, marketing and distribution of crops and livestock. It is not only if we produce, agriculture is finished, because that production is meant for consumption purpose. How do we consume? The process of consumption, or it is related to the demand. Then making goods available to the consumers, because it requires distribution, because goods are to be transported from one place to the other. Then not all commodities we can consume in the form in which it is produced. Rice, we eat rice, but paddy is produced. It needs some sort of processing. Then only fine rice we get, and we boil it, we take it. So some sort of processing is also required. So the whole lot of activities that includes production, processing, marketing and distribution, that is called agriculture. Now in this production of crops and livestock, and in all other activities like processing, distribution, some economic principles are applied. There are certain principles which help in proper production. That means how much the farmers will produce, how much fertilizer will increase the productivity, what is the best means of transportation from one place to the other for a particular commodity, because the cheapest means we shall use so that cost can be kept minimum. How do we process There may be different means of processing. Which particular processing will improve the quality? Ultimately, different economic principles are applied in the field of agriculture. When these economic principles are applied in the field of agriculture, that is called agricultural economics. That is called agricultural economics. So this is the basic definition of agricultural economics. It can be defined as an applied phase of economics in which attention is given to all aspects of problems related to agriculture. All aspects of problems means production, processing, marketing, distribution. In all these aspects, when economic principles are applied, then this is called agricultural economics. Professor Gray has defined agricultural economics in this way. Agricultural economics can be defined as a science in which principles and methods of economics are applied to the special conditions of agriculture. In case of production of crops and rearing of animals, we also find that resources are used, different inputs are used, and these inputs are usually scarce. Fertilizer is costly. This can be applied to either production of, suppose, potato, and also at the same time in that plot of land, tomato can also be cultivated. Where the farmer will apply fertilizer, because that is a question of choice. The decision has to be made in order to get maximum return. So he uses the economic principles in obtaining maximum return. He has 5 kgs of fertilizer where he will apply in the most profitable way so that his return can be the maximum. So this is what the economic principles. These are applied in special conditions of agriculture. Then agricultural economics has certain characteristics or nature. And these are, agricultural economics is both a social science and a natural science. It is a social science because agriculture is a social activity. It is affected by the customs, societal values, certain rules framed by the society. Can you tell me a particular, suppose, custom or a norm relating to agriculture? Can you tell me? Any activity that is, any agricultural activity that is controlled by social values? Zoom cultivation, that's a kind of activity done in a slope, hill slope. But I'm not concerned about this. I'm concerned about certain activity which is controlled by the culture of a particular community. Have you heard the local term hal khoti? Farmers, they do not plow their land on special days of a month, on certain special days of a month. They never plow in all days during production season. There are certain special days in which they do not plow, they till the land. That we call hal khoti in Assamese. Or on certain days, like suppose on Saturdays or on Tuesdays possibly, I don't know exactly, but still, on certain days, seeds are not sown. They believe that it is inauspicious, right? Certain activities, women are not allowed to perform certain activities. These are some social customs that affect the activities of agriculture. So that is why it is a social science, because farmers' decisions, activities and functions are affected by the society. But it is a natural science because principles, scientific methods and innovations suggested by agricultural economics are applied in the field of agriculture. In physics, you have read about the Boyle's law, right? In the Boyle's law, if you test it here in Jorhat, here in USA, or in Japan, the same result you will find. Okay? That is a scientific law. At the same time, economics laws are also exact. If price increases, demand falls. An American will also behave in this fashion, an Indian will also behave in this fashion, and British will also behave in this manner. It is an economic principle and it is a natural law. So this is also applied. So that is why agricultural economics is a natural science. It is a natural science. Then it is an applied science, because the practical knowledge of agricultural economists is used for agricultural development. Agricultural economists, they collect data from the field, from meeting different people, farmers or other people. Then on the basis of these data, studying their behavior, these rules are framed. Certain principles are designed, and these principles, ultimately, these principles are applied in the field of agriculture for production of crops and raising of animals. That is why it is called an applied science. Then, this is unique. Agricultural activities are unique because nature plays an important role in its working. If there is a flood, crops will be destroyed. If there is drought, ultimately, production will be affected. Nature plays an important role. But in case of a manufacturing sector, if the manufacturing industry is well placed, flood will not affect that. Drought will not affect that. They will arrange water from somewhere else. Then, agricultural activities are also seasonal. We cannot grow potato during summer season. We cannot grow rice, a particular variety of rice, all the seasons. It requires a certain season to get the desired productivity. So seasonality is another nature. Then it differs significantly in organizational and institutional framework from non-agricultural activities. If it is a non-agricultural activity, suppose a big industry, a refinery, it has got a definite organizational structure. At the top, the board of directors. Below them, there are certain senior, suppose directors. Then there are certain managers, then supervisors, then finally the workers. But in agricultural activities, in the field, farmer is all in all. He employs some casual laborers, he employs some permanent laborers, then activities are done. So ultimately, the organizational structure and institutional framework, it differs significantly from the manufacturing sector. So that is why this particular agricultural activities are different, and it has got a special character. Then we come to another concept of economics, basic concept, good. What is good? Materials. Any material? Suppose that is a material. It has got three-dimensional. It's a piece of something.
Materials having commercial value.
Commercial values. It's not exactly the commercial value. Good is anything which is capable of satisfying human one. Capable of satisfying human one. You desire something, if anything that can satisfy your desire, that's a good. It may have commercial value, it may not have commercial value. A pen, it doesn't have any commercial value. It has got a personal use. It is meant for a personal use. So, she wants a pen right now to write something. If I take the pen from her, she will have a want, and she wants something, some medium through which she can write. If I return her the pen, then with that pen she can write, and that satisfies her want. So that is a good. And good must have utility. Unless there is utility, that is the example that I told her, that I bring a piece of stone and give it to her. It doesn't have any utility, so it is not good. And good does not have any moral significance. A cigarette, it is morally bad. It affects health. It causes cancer. But still, it is useful for someone. It has the one satisfying power for some person. So it is a good. Goods can be classified in different ways. It can be classified in different. First classification is free good and economic goods. Free goods and economic goods. Free goods are obtained free of cost from nature. We need not pay anything for these goods. Air, rainwater. Why I put rainwater? Why I didn't put water? Huh? Why? What is the reason? Why I put rainwater? Huh? Huh? Free of cost. Why didn't I put water? If I would have put water?
Water are sold. Bottles, mineral water.
Okay, mineral water bottles are sold, but a bucket full of water?
Pay for that electricity bill also.
Exactly so. Because you see, if you live in a flat, if for last 3-4 days there is no water, if you stand in front of a flat with 2 buckets full of water, you can sell it very easily. And that gentleman who wants water, he is not getting it free. He is paying for this. So that is why even in our home also, we pay tax to the government for using water. Water tax we pay. So that means water is not free. Unless we collect rainwater that comes free of cost for us, that is why this is an example of free goods. But anything else for which we pay, it is not freely available. Payment is necessary. All these goods are economic goods. Then comes consumer goods and production goods. Consumer goods, the goods that we directly consume. These are consumption goods. Production goods, the goods, these are used for further production. These are not directly consumed by the consumers, but these are used for further production of other goods and services. All machines, all tools and implements, these are production goods. Raw materials, these are production goods. Cotton, it is a production goods. If you just use some amount of cotton for your dressing purpose, that may be a consumption goods. But the cotton is basically meant for production of clothes. And we use clothes. So cotton is a production goods. Then perishable goods and durable goods. The goods which are exhausted after single use. One time use. It's a perishable good. And goods, we can use it for some time, quite a longer time. That is a durable goods. All chairs, tables, buildings. And you can find out your specs, your watch, your clothes, furnitures, TV, fridge, whatever it is. These are all durable goods. But your pen is a single use. Once you use, and you can throw it away. You cannot keep it for long. This is single use. All food items, these are single use. Private goods and public goods. Private goods are consumed individually. It is not usually shared with others. These are all private goods. Your all belongings, your pen, pencil, paper, bags, packs, watches, all these are your private goods. But roads, bridges, parks, restaurants, these are all public goods. Can you find out any other classification? Any idea? Can it be classified by in many more ways? These are the 4 classifications: perishable, durables, private goods, public goods, free goods and economic goods, and production and consumption. Then comes to service. Service is also obtained against payment, but it is non-material. It is also a kind of similar to goods, but it is not physical in nature. Act performed by someone is called a service. A doctor provides the service. A prescription, whatever advice we get, it is called a service. So service, it provides income, because the doctor, by providing the service, he earns income. A lawyer, advocate, he earns income by providing the service. Right? A chartered accountant, he provides service, he earns income. Then service is non-material. Goods are material. It is the result of production. But service is the act performed by someone. It is non-material. Service provides utility to the receiver. The man who provides the service is utilized by someone, and he gets the utility out of the act of the service provider. A patient, whenever he gets the advice of a doctor, from that advice, the patient's disease is cured. He is better off than before. So he gets the utility from the act of the service provider. Then commodity. What is the difference between good and a commodity? Commodity is also satisfies the want. Commodity, it has got a particular grade or quality. But what is the difference between good or a commodity? Because any material good homogeneous within itself is called commodity. Any material good homogeneous within itself is commodity. But good is anything, material outcome of production, that is called good. It has the power to satisfy one. What is the difference between good and the commodity? Any basic idea? Can you tell me a commodity which is homogeneous? Homogeneous means what? Homogeneous? This group of students is homogeneous or heterogeneous? Homogeneous or heterogeneous? Heterogeneous on what account? How can you explain? Because you must have a basis to say homogeneous or heterogeneous. I say it is homogeneous. If you say it is heterogeneous, yes, I shall also agree, but you must defend yourself. Gender, okay, that is one. Another? Caste, you are coming from different places, right? But you are homogeneous because all of you are from the first year, right? That too from B section, right? You are taking economics class right now. So it is homogeneous. So homogeneous means the characteristics are uniform for all. Tell me a commodity which is homogeneous now. That we can call it as a commodity. Heterogeneous commodity ki? Have you read the newspaper? Particularly in the business section, prices of agricultural goods are listed, right? Rice, demand per quintal, dal, right? Pulse, there's so many agricultural commodity prices are given. On top of that, what is the heading? Good prices or commodity prices? What is written? Business page. Normally it is coming. See, other items of production, basically whatever it is, your pen, a TV, your mobile phones, these are all heterogeneous because no two mobile phones are similar in nature. Either they differ in the color, differ in the shapes, differ in other characteristics. Your pen also differs, everything. But agricultural certain commodities, rice is same, uniform everywhere. In a particular market, all wheats, it is only wheat and it has got a special characteristic and that is uniform for all. Pulses, arahar dals. So those are the goods which are homogeneous in nature that we call as commodity. Particularly the agricultural goods, we call it as commodity, but other items of production, we call it as good in economics. By commodity, we mean the characteristics must be uniform and homogeneous in nature. Then utility. One satisfying power of a commodity is called utility. This pointer is now useful to me because I use it to point something on the board or the screen. So that is why it is useful to me. That means this pointer has the power to satisfy my present want. And that in economics is called utility. Then utility has certain characteristics. It is subjective. It is subjective. Subjective because utility of a person, utility of a commodity, it's not person. There is a spelling mistake, typographical mistake here. Utility of a commodity or good differs from person to person. It differs from person to person. Instead of this particular pointer, instead of using by me, I have given to her and I have taken her pen. Whether this will be useful to her to write down? Whether she can, this pointer has her one satisfying power? Definitely not. That means this does not have any utility to her. Pen does not have the utility to me right now. So utility is subjective. Utility is subjective. Utility is not satisfaction. Unless we consume something, use a particular commodity or good, we don't get satisfaction. Take an example. Possibly all of you like pastry. That is why I put it here. You have gone to a bakery shop or confectioner. Number of pastries are on this showcase. If you just have a look at it and just come out, will you be satisfied? Will you be happy enough? Unless you consume, you don't get the taste of pastry and you will be satisfied. So, you just tell me whether pastry has utility or not. One satisfying power, whether it has or not. It has one satisfying power. Because we want pastry. We like to have it. But unless we consume, we don't get satisfaction. So satisfaction is something different. Unless we consume a particular commodity, we don't get the satisfaction. A pastry may have utility, but unless we consume, we don't get the utility. That is the meaning. So utility is not satisfaction. It is something different. Utility, a commodity may have utility, but utility will be obtained only when that commodity is consumed and satisfaction is reached. Satisfaction is obtained. Right?
So if we are not satisfied with like something, then what is it for?
See, I can explain it in two ways. First, if you are not satisfied, that means you don't have one. You at this moment, you do not want to pastry and we forcefully give you the pastry. You will not be happy. You like to have a chicken burger, instead of this we have offered you a pastry. Then you will be dissatisfied. At that moment, you don't have the want for a pastry. Is it not? Another thing, pastry is bad. It is stale. He has the one and he has tasted it and he found it bad. The problem is with the commodity. That particular pastry does not have that one satisfying power because it is bad. Quality-wise it is bad, and that utility he could not obtain, or satisfaction he could not obtain, because that commodity or good does not have the one satisfying power. And that utility, if that particular piece of pastry has the utility or not, we'll know only when we consume. That is why we call it that satisfaction and utility both are different. You will get satisfaction only when you consume. Two pieces of pastries are there in the showroom. One has the one satisfied, both we expect that have the one satisfying power, but finally after consumption we know that one has the one satisfying power, the other has not. We get satisfaction from a fresh piece of pastry, we don't get satisfaction from the stale piece of pastry.
So, like our parents say, the earlier food was like very tasty and all. Now the economic, as we are rising our economy. We are using fertilizers, pesticides, and decreasing the quality but increasing the quantity. So what we say?
See, that you are to decide by yourself. First, whether you will go with the low quantity of commodities and starve yourself, or you will consume whatever is available in the market. You have the one. Is it not? You have the one for food. If it is not available in the market, that means that there is not enough goods in the market to satisfy your wants. But in order to live, you shall have to eat whatever is available in the market. Commodities, we just think about the commodity. Commodities have the one satisfying power or not. If your taste is something different, that you don't like this, commodity goods produced with fertilizers, agricultural goods produced with fertilizers, if you don't like at all, then what you will eat? You shall have to go to a foreign land and get the organic food. You shall have to decide yourself what is the level of the want and the level of satisfaction. Right? You shall make yourself ready to consume, to use whatever is available in the market. Goods, I have got the one satisfying power. They have their special qualities. But the taste is yours. That is why you behave. That's a good question also to explain the economics. Because economics studies the human behavior. His behavior is something different. Right? He behaves differently in the market than suppose something else. His taste and preferences are different, so he looks for some better quality foods. So he is ready to pay, suppose, the higher price for the organic foods. I am suppose not ready to pay for organic foods because my resources are limited. So I shall have to compromise what is available in the market. He has money, he has the resources, so he is not going to compromise it with what is available in the market. Is it not? That is the kind of the situation that we face in the market. Goods have the one satisfying power. And we are talking about right now that power of a commodity that can satisfy human want. Organic food has the one satisfying power, particularly for youth. Suppose, see, he is an example. He is raising a simple question. He is not a different one, but behaves almost the same way like us. But since he has raised a question, I tell you, one satisfying power of organic food and the other kind of food produced by using the fertilizer, they have got different one satisfying powers. One has the one satisfying power for a certain group of people. The organic food has got the one satisfying power for another group of people. Simple as that. Okay? Then utility is relative. A commodity may possess different utility to a person at different times and at different places. A commodity may have different utility at different times and different places. Different times, you have got your all woolen garments. During winter you wear. When the winter is over, do you throw it out? You don't throw it out. You keep it in store. Because now you don't need, but coming December, you will again use it. So that is why that woolen garment does not have, although it doesn't have the utility at this moment, but it will have utility in the winter months. At different places, the people living in the hill stations, they still use the warm garments. So the manufacturers, they don't transport the warm garments to our places right now. They simply sell it in the hill stations where it has the want, it is demanded. At this moment, if our all soaps are full of warm garments, we don't buy it. It will not be sold. There is no demand practically for this kind of commodities right now. But it will have utility at different place to a different group of people. Utility does not have any moral significance. A bottle of wine, although it is morally bad, it has the utility for some people. They may like it, they want it. So that is why it has the utility. For the chain smokers, cigarette is useful to them. Cigarette has the one satisfying power to the smokers. So, utility, although certain goods are morally bad, but then also the goods may have the utility. It doesn't have any moral significance. Then utility is not pleasure. Certain medicines are bitter in taste, but we swallow those tablets because it has the one satisfying power. I am suffering from a certain disease that can be cured by a certain bitter tablet. And with my total dissatisfaction, displeasure, I shall have to consume it. Because if I consume, that want will be fulfilled. Curing from that disease, this is my desire or want. I want the medicine. Although the medicine is something bitter in taste, it has the utility to me. Types of utility. There are different types. Form utility, place utility. Form, if you change the form of a certain commodity, it becomes useful. The potters, they make different idols with mud. Mud doesn't have any utility to us, but when a big, beautiful idol is, made out of it, we buy it. For different purpose, we buy it. A piece of wood, it does not have any utility. When carpenter gives it a proper shape, and beautiful decorative piece is manufactured out of it, we buy it at a good cost, good price. So, by changing the form, utility can be created. Utility can be created by changing the place. The example of woolen garments that I told you, the sailors, they take these woolen garments from here. Bhutias, you see, during winter months they used to come and sell the commodities. Do you find Bhutia market here? You won't find. They will shift their entire business to some other place where their goods will be sold. By changing the place, they create utility to their goods. Woolen goods of those particular kind of sailors do not have any utility here in the warm places, but these people create utility to these goods by changing the place. Time utility. Next is the time utility. It is created by storing goods over time. Like the all warm garments, we are storing, we are keeping it over time so that it will be useful in the winter months. Government stores the essential food items. FCI stores your rice, potato, the other food items, cereals. In cold storages, fruits and certain vegetables are stored to be offered for sale in the off-season. So by storing goods, we also create utility. Then service utility. Let us suppose a doctor. He has passed MBBS, then MD, and then finally he has opened a restaurant. He has opened a restaurant. A beautiful, suppose a restaurant he has opened. Then whether we'll get his service? We are deprived of getting the service of a doctor, right? So unless the doctor provides the service, that doctor is not useful to us. Although he writes doctor, that restaurant owner, but we don't call him as a doctor. We don't visit him when we are sick or ill, right? He must have provided the service, then only he will be useful to the society, otherwise not. Then finally, there are certain goods which are naturally useful. Sunshine. Without sunshine, we cannot live. Without air, we cannot live. Without drinking water, we cannot live. So these goods have natural utility. So there are 5 different ways by which utility can be created: form, place, time, service, and natural utility. Then value. It conveys value in exchange. It does not include the free goods. Free goods do not have any value. Free goods do not have any value. During barter system, goods are exchanged one for the other. If you have got sufficient quantity of banana, you can offer it to someone, get some rice from there. But if you carry a bucket full of water and give it to someone to get some rice during barter system, will you be getting rice? No. At that time, during barter system, even water was also free. He can get a bucket full of water from the nearby pond or river. So, for a good, it must have the exchange value. Free goods do not have the exchange value. So, value of a good is the exchange value or the purchasing power of a commodity. And its characteristics are: it possesses utility. It must possess utility. It must be scarce, because free goods are not scarce. That is why it is not valuable. And it must be transferred from one place to the other, one person to the other, or it must be marketable. Any marketable commodity has got the value. And by value in economics, we mean always exchange value or the purchasing power of a commodity. Then comes price. Value of a commodity expressed in monetary terms is called price. What is the value of this pointer? Its value if I convert it into monetary terms, that will be its price. Right? What is the value? Suppose 150 rupees. That means to buy this commodity, I need 150 rupees to buy one item of this pointer. What is the value of your pen? It is 5 rupees. That means you need 5 rupees to buy this pen. That means the value of a commodity, if you convert it into monetary terms, that becomes the price. And price is always related to a single item of a commodity. Then price has got certain characteristics. It is dynamic. It doesn't remain same all the time. It goes up, goes down. Depending upon the situation in the market, sometimes price increases, sometimes price comes down. So it is dynamic in nature. It changes from time to time. And the price is affected by a number of factors in the economy. It is affected by a number of factors in the economy. Demand. If suppose demand for a certain commodity suddenly increases, many people want to buy this commodity, sellers will increase the price. Price will go up. Demand for outdated dresses, there is no buyers, so ultimately sellers will have to reduce the price. Price comes down. Onion is shortage. Presently in the market, we face shortages in the market. So the sellers taking advantage of this increase the price. Price is going up. So it is affected by variety of factors. Even maximum production during immediately after production, commodities are available in large quantities. So at that time price is low. But during off season, supply or availability of a commodity, agricultural commodity is low. So price is, at that time what will happen? Price will rise. Wealth. Wealth is the stock of goods under ownership of a person or a nation. And economic goods are only called wealth. Free goods are not wealth. Can you give me a few examples of your wealth? Tuma wealth ketaman koason. Just tell me some of your wealth.
Some savings in the bank.
Savings in the bank,
Some costly dresses.
costly dresses, not cheap dresses, regular use dresses. Huh? That you can give it to anyone. If someone is asking, you can give it easily.
The dresses.
It is not that. Your pen, your pencil, your bangle, your chain, your clip, everything. Whatever she uses, right? All the items that belong to her is her wealth. We can say in economics, it's the wealth. But to be wealth, there must be certain characteristics. Can you sing? Can you sing? What is your hobby?
So reading novels.
Huh?
Reading novels.
Reading novels, it becomes difficult to say, give an example. Anyone who can sing? Anyone who can draw or paint? You draw, paint, sing. Okay. Whether the singing ability is our wealth? Wealth. A painter's ability is a wealth. To be wealth, you must find out there are certain characteristics this wealth should satisfy. First, it is utility. Wealth must possess utility, and mere possession of utility does not call commodity a wealth. Any junk item stored in home, it is not useful, it doesn't have any utility. So this is not your wealth. Your broken specs, your broken umbrella, your anything. These are not wealth. It must be useful first. Then it must be scarce. Wealth must be scarce. If everybody has everything, then possession of something is not considered as wealth. It must be scarce. Scarcity is one good example. Then Apart from this, there are two things. One is wealth must be external and wealth must be transferable. Transferability is one major consideration to be a wealth. A commodity is called wealth if it can be transferred to others. That is why musician's ability is not wealth. She can sing, but once she sings, that quality does not go to somebody else. It remains with her. She cannot give it to somebody else. A painter's abilities cannot be transferable. And that is also internal quality. That is his or her internal quality. Similarly, externality is another condition, that wealth must have its external shape and structure. Unless a good or a commodity has external shape and structure that can be transferred to someone which has the utility, that commodity is not called wealth. If suppose an example is asked from you, or any commodity is given to you, the situation is given to you to say whether it is wealth or not, you must carefully examine this commodity with these four different characteristics. It must have utility, it must be scarce, it must be transferable, and it must be external in nature. Then wealth may be material or non-material also, because goodwill of a person is called, of a businessman is also in his non-material wealth. Goodwill, that can be transferred. Goodwill of a person can be transferred in case of business. This is one separate example of non-material wealth. Then kinds of wealth. There are three different kinds of wealth: personal or individual wealth, national wealth, and international wealth. Personal wealth is all the commodities, all the goods that is in the hands of a certain person, in the possession of a person. This is all personal wealth. Sum total of all personal wealth is called the national wealth. Sum total of all personal wealth is the national wealth. And certain institutions, certain goods are used for the benefit of whole of the mankind. Globally, this is useful. This is called international wealth. UNO, World Bank, International Labour Organization, these institutions are international wealth, because globally it becomes useful to all of us, and internationally these are accepted for the benefit of the mankind. So that is why these are international wealth.